So a lot of our clients live, for example, in the UAE, have the US LLC, but they are still selling to Europe or want to sell in the European Union. Of course, there's a big differentiation. Some are selling digital goods, a lot of them are selling real goods. And they always ask us, do I still really need a Europe entity? Or can I somehow find a way to only use my US entity to sell to Europe without losing clients? Do you see this, that a lot of people are doing it successfully or not really?
Well, if you're selling, if you have a U.S. entity and you're using that entity to sell to Europe only, most processors are going to shut you down, right? You should have a ratio, and the ratio should be like 70% domestic, 30% international. So if you're selling 100% outside of your domestic, like, or your entity, basically, wherever this transaction's routing, right? If it's going through the U.S. for European, you're going to lose. I mean, you're going to lose across the board. You're going to have massive failed transactions. You're going to pay a boatload more. You're going to pay like 2% markup at least over the domestic rates. Currency conversion, some payment processors won't display certain currencies, so like that's going to limit you. And then your processor is probably going to shut you down. So I have not seen a situation where somebody is using a PSP 100% outside of their domestic footprint and it's stable. I've actually never seen that, I don't think. Unless they're using a merchant of record, that's different. But
yeah, I think this is a good point now when the payment processor is shutting you down, because this is the recovering part for today's video. And a lot of clients and a lot of people obviously suffer. They have either funds on hold or completely lose their payment processing. It also took me some time to differentiate, because sometimes there are people where it was basically logical that they lose everything. And sometimes other people just made some small mistakes. Like you said, cross-border payments, they didn't know to communicate, they scaled fast. Maybe the bank account didn't match with the website, some small things, and now all this money is on hold. What is the success rate to recover funds, and how does it usually work to recover funds?
yeah, so that's kind of like the main reason a lot of people come to us, is that funds are stuck somewhere, they got a massive hold, and we typically will want to understand, why did they put you on hold, right? It can be kind of a combination of a few different things. And, violation of terms of service, excessive chargebacks, scaling too fast, right? There's some common themes here. And so with the reserve recovery program that we offer, it's really like a 90-day support program. And we do a lot of coaching and insights on this. So, a lot of times they scale and then they won't be able to manage their service aspect of it, or keep up with questions or refunds or returns or whatever it may be, which then leads to chargebacks, right? So a lot of this, is we go audit the website, we'll look at things and just understand where customers are perceiving one thing, but then getting another, right? And so it's pretty involved. So we want to understand the reasons of why the shutdown occurred. There's typically going to be some reason that the provider provides to a degree. Now, we'll usually flat out ask, what's your chargeback rate in the last 30 days? And they're like 8%. I go, well, there's your problem, right? So we gotta wrap a plan around this here. And there's no like silver bullet answer to any problem that we come across, but there's common themes, right? And so, what we do is we really put together, like, it's like a 2 to 3 person team. Typically it's gonna be me or my co-founder, then 2 of the data team members, and we will de-risk the business. Basically, we'll go through the website, we'll update policies, we'll go through chargeback prevention measures, we'll go through refund policies, we'll go through shipping policies, we'll go through the supplier agreement, we'll go through go-to-market strategy, we'll go through who's their ideal customer profile, we'll go through their funnels, we'll go through their upsell strategy, like everything. It's a laundry list of auditing that we do. And we get them to bring the level down in terms of risk down to a tolerable level. Then we present a packet to these providers and we really say, hey, based on now the new measures that they've installed with us, we believe the reserve should be X. And this document's very involved. It's like a 25-page document we put together. We send it in and then we get the provider to really play ball with us. So a lot of times they'll say, okay, we'll release out of the 100 grand, we'll release 50 grand now, and then we'll give you 50 grand in 30 days versus just they're stuck, right? So, that's where we can kind of, it's more art than science. There's not this quick answer. We say, we're going to get you your money out and, send like a legal notice to them. And we work with attorneys, but there's a lot of art in this. Our goal is to really equip the merchant with the tools to not only get the funds out, but to like successfully scale their business, like beyond us, like take everything we're teaching you and like blow it up after that, right? Like not in a good way, like grow. So that's really like what our reserve recovery program is. It's the goal is to get the money out, but the goal is like, we're going to coach the heck out of you. We're like going to tell you how the banks work and what they look at. We're going to tell you all these little tripwires that are causing issues with your business. We're going to optimize customer experience. So it's like these multiple things that we're really trying to help out with versus just getting the funds out.
And how long does it take to release funds on average?
It depends on the provider. Some providers, I mean, we work with really any provider, but the main ones, obviously, Stripe, Shopify Payments, and PayPal. We have, I think everyone calls them insiders. They're just like contacts. I mean, I think there's like these cheat insiders. I call them just, they're our contacts, but like there's bureaucracy, but we do it the right way. So we're not like having somebody click a button because we're paying them this exorbitant fee. It's all legit, right? I'm sending the business case in, they're escalating, and they know us, so they're very comfortable with being more aggressive with us. So it could be as fast, like our fastest one was released. I think we got 50 grand released in 10 hours after submission. Sometimes it could take longer. It just depends, but as quick as 10 hours on average, 3 to 4 business days after we submit, we'll get an answer.
Yeah, aggression is a good point. We see many people, once they get this message that funds are on hold, they try to contact the support. Then many times you can't even contact the online chat anymore because this function
They'll cut you off.
And then they go completely crazy and text 50 emails and saying, you're scamming me, release my funds as soon as possible. I will make a lawsuit. And then that's basically the story ends there after they send out the emails and they calm down, then they don't know what to actually do. Is it the right way, or what should these people do instead?
Don't do that. It's in the terms and conditions, right? There is language, and this is with every provider, that they have the right to hold funds, right? So like you got to read between the lines, but no one's a legal expert. Like when you sign up for something on your iPhone, like you sign up for an app, there's this terms and conditions that no one reads, and you hit agree and you move on, right? Kind of the same with Stripe. The one thing is you got to be patient, right? And you need to take a step back and not be a keyboard warrior and just start going off, right? You need to like really put together a business case around this. And if you want to try to do it on your own, at least try, right? And just send the business case, get something back. And a lot of times they're not going to budge much, right? Just to be honest. If you have a chargeback rate that's excessive over 2%, or you scale just an enormous amount, there's just going to be a review. I mean, that's just what it is. They're not stealing your money. They're doing the review. And now I've seen some weird situations, don't get me wrong, where I'm like, this is odd. Why are they even holding funds? So there have been some merchants where I agree, and I've been seeing a lot more lately. But don't just go crazy though, because they'll just cut you off, ignore you, and then you're cooked, right? And then they don't want to play ball anymore.
And do you see that it's possible to actually recover this account, make it work again? Or do you think as soon as you lost an account and you lost this relationship, it's forever gone?
Well, they have the KYC stuff, right? So they know who you are. So like they can trigger and say, this merchant is fraudulent, or this is that, just they'll put notes in the account. I mean, they can even put you on the match list for, not legitimate reasons in some cases. Like if you go really crazy on them, they can just say, they can think it's fraud or money laundering and just label it as that. And then you're really screwed. So, I mean, you can't just kind of work around it. Like I've seen people, it's like, I'm just going to set up a new entity here. It's like, well, they're still going to see your KYC information. You'd have to completely dissolve yourself from the business. you just have to do it the right way. I mean, it's, if you really want to use that provider, you just have to be patient, calm, submit the package. And our success rates are pretty high. I mean, we're like around high 80s is what we're seeing. The only time we don't see success is if something kind of comes out of the woodwork and then we don't know and we're not told, like, oh, I blew up this account 5 years ago. It's like, well, now you tell us, we didn't know. So you know, there's a high degree of success in getting the account restored. Sometimes it takes longer, but it could be as quick as 10 hours.